Hello, good day. Welcome back. This is Dr. Cool. In today's very video edition here, I'm going to be teaching you guys one of the most sought out question on the internet. Why are some cars more reliable and others are not? Some are fun and some are not. Now, there is no single answer that can actually address that very question correctly. But in this very video today, I'm going to try as much as possible to teach you all you need to know about reliable cars and non-reliable cars. However, it might shock you guys a little bit when I say most of you guys in the Western world will not stand a chance to really tell which car is reliable and which is not. You know the reason why? Because most of you guys often buy the car brand new from the shelf and you don't actually get to start a huge mileage like 250,000 miles on it. Why are the usage? And also, you don't get to stress the car no matter how you use this very car. You don't stress it, right? When we're talking about stressing it, we are talking about a serious usage in a very short term. That is what I mean by stress. I'm not talking about a very light usage at a long period of time. That is not stress. So when you don't get to stress some of the cars or some of the machines that you use, you won't get to know if they are really reliable or not. Now, on this very picture here, when we talk about reliable cars, the first thing that comes into mind for most people is Toyota. And people don't actually so much look at the side of the Honda or Mercedes. Now, these three cars, which I named right now, they have three different engineering settings. But it's gonna shock you guys that Honda is quite more reliable than Toyota. But Toyota get more popularity than Honda. But that is not the argument we are here to do today. I'm here to tell you the reason why some cars are more reliable and others are not. Now let's take a look at Mercedes. If you look at Mercedes, Mercedes is using some sort of two ways of manufacturing their product that makes it to be much reliable in some certain extent, and it is not quite easy. They are not quite adapting to that environment really much in order to attract some people, attract Gen Z and attract the older people. However, if you look very well, when it talks about reliable cars, you don't often see Gen Z in Toyota cars. You don't see most of people in China and Japanese in Toyota cars. Why is that? Because you see a lot of Gen Zs in this very people who I called it, this very nation that I call that right now. And why is that? Because Gen Zs like latest cutting edge technology when it comes to car. And that is where Volkswagen, Audi, BMW comes into play. And these guys do not look at what is reliable. They are looking at the cutting edge technology, which car is fun to drive. Now, when we're talking about fun to drive, when you sit on this car and you steer it and hit the gas pedal, you're actually going to understand that there is a difference between Hellcat and Toyota, whichever Toyota model, be it Supra, you're gonna know there's a huge difference between Hellcat, right, Hellcat Demon, and Toyota. The same way you're gonna know that there is a difference between BMW and Toyota. So these two cars, Hellcat, BMW, Volkswagen, Audi, Mercedes, these cars shift like dreams. They are fun to drive, but they lack that reliability, but not that really bad. Now, when we take a look at the context at which these guys are coming from, we can be able to see why most people complain that these very cars are not reliable. I want to give you guys some instance. Have you ever wondered, this is a typical fuel pump, have you ever wondered why most manufacturers have not gone into manufacturing a brushless motor fuel pump? The reason there is to keep the cost down. But sometimes the cost is not even down. Now, imagine if they have engineered a brushless electric motor pump. It's gonna work forever because the only issues it's gonna have later is the check valve when it gets defective. That is exactly what happens to car when it talks about reliability. Now, why is Toyota more reliable than other cars? A lot of people are actually trying to hear the answer. The answer is I called it recycled technology or simplified technology. Realistically, Toyota is not supposed to be expensive because most parts are made cheaper. If you want to get to know this, I want you to take your Civic, your Honda Civic, right? I want you to do about 140 or do like 140 mile per hour and try to do that in Toyota. You're gonna see that Toyota Corolla is gonna start waving and all over the place. Why? Because it's way lighter on, there is no serious heavy metal that is used in making those parts, and because of that it's lighter, so you cannot really drive that car fast and expect it to maintain contact patches or grip on the road without swerving, right? However, when it comes to Corolla models, they are one of the most fuel economical car. But step into the car and let's take a look at it. When you step inside the vehicle, you're gonna see that most of the interior part are made of rubber and cheap materials. That's why I said it is not supposed to be expensive. Now, aside that, let's take a look at Toyota's famous component like shocks, engines, uh, ball joints, and all that. If you take a look at the Toyotas of 90s and the present day, there is literally no difference in their V6, the 2GR, 1GR, 1ZZ is practically the same thing. And when you look at their 2.70 engine and 2.4, there is no much difference. What do they do? They just only alter a little bit. Like let's talk about the difference between the 2.7 liters engine that's often equipped on a 2007 Camry, and which is different from 2.4 liters equipped in 2006 Toyota Camry. There is a difference there. The difference there in those two engines there is that the 2006 model is the worst engine ever, the four cylinder. If it does overheat, you are replacing the engine. However, in 2.7 liters, they only increase the bore size of the piston of the cylinder, then increase the quality of the aluminum material which they use in making the block. That is causing that mess that when it overheats, when you're trying to lose the top cylinder head, the thread on the block will be pulling with the top cylinder head steel. That is technically what they did to that engine and took it to what added extra 0.3, and it becomes 2.7. There is no any other different innovations in that very engine. So that's why I call it recycled technology. Now, when you look at the strut is basically the same. You look at the dashboard is worse, all right? The 2006 dashboard is often tearing apart. However, the dashboard on the 2007, on the 260 is tearing apart, on the 2007 is a worst. So if you look at the shocks, the drivetrain, the transmission system, they are literally the same. There are not much difference. I want you to look at it. Now look at their V6 engines. It's typically the same, almost across the whole model. Why is that? Because when they have tested a product and it is reliable, it is efficient, they don't want to really drift out of it much so that they don't start creating problems. So in the reality sense, Toyota is not innovative enough. And that is why their car is not fun to drive. Now, when you come to that again, you often find that most 2012 Toyota or 2013 Toyotas, they have features which you will find in German cars of 2006 model. What am I talking about here? That in German cars in 2006, 2007, they have newer models which Toyota delayed in equipping in their system because they want to test it for durability before putting it into their system, such as EPS, electrical assisted power steering, a lot of other features, that makes the car, like the cockpit of Mercedes, cockpit of BMW, of Volkswagen. You can compare it to Toyota. So Toyota is reduced technology, is simplified technology. Now, aside that, if you use your scanner to dive into the computer's mainframe of Toyota, you are actually going to see that it's still using PCM. I mean, a combined integration of the ECU and the transmission control module. So you can be able to find these two guys differently. What I mean differently is when you're trying to diagnose a car, you need to dive into different interfaces, especially let's say you dive into the ABS control module to know exactly what is going on. But in this case here, in case of Toyota, everything is piled up. The TCM and the ECM are married as one. So when you dive in there, you're not going to be seeing a lot of information the way you're going to see it on a VW, Audi, Mercedes, BMW, or others. Now, why is Volkswagen, Audi, Mercedes, BMW, and most other American cars not that reliable? Some of these guys are keeping the cost down. That's what I try to explain to you about this in order for the car to be affordable. Now, it's not just ending in keeping the cost down also. These guys are innovative. They are forefront of cutting edge technology. They are researching and they are implementing. Like if you take a look at Volkswagen, for instance, which have been following up between 1996 to 2004, these guys engineered just about 8 to 10 different engine variations for Volkswagen Golf. About 10. That is huge, man. That's huge. So if you dive down to Volkswagen Make 3, they have 1.3 liters, 1.4, 2.0, 1.6, 2.2, VR6, and you name them. There is a whole lot. All right. So you see, these guys are 1.8 liters. There are a lot of them. So these guys are quick in testing different engines on different cars and different body modifications, and you name it. And in this phase, they will not have the chance to really test run all their components and know which one is very much reliable. Now, we're talking about that. Now, when you start going down to 2006, they introduced another engine right there. with a turbocharged, downsized engine. You see that most Volkswagen engines and Audi have downsized engine. They have turbo, but you rarely find turbo engines on Toyota because Toyota knows that turbo is a whole lot of problem. As a matter of fact, you can't turbo any Toyota car that is not, a normal regular car. The engine is going to explode. You don't want to do that. But you have seen a lot of people who actually turbocharging Honda Civic SI model, a lot of Honda Civic, a lot of Volkswagen Make 3 and compete with Lamborghini. You don't do that with Toyota, right? Because Toyota is trying to stay safe. Toyota also is trying to make the electrical of their system, electrical electronic, to be simplified, to be simple, to diagnose that you can even close your eyes and, guess what, do that, and you discover exactly where the problem is. But you don't do that with German cars and some of those powerful, innovative company, automotive mobilities, because these guys are racing to be at the forefront. Now, if a lot of you guys who have been following up this very video down to this very moment right here, you will understand or ask yourself, why is Toyota not in Formula One, Pete? Isn't that shocking? However, you're finding Honda there. However, you're finding Mercedes. Probably you're going to see a lot of other companies out there, Renault and the rest of them. Because in Formula One, you can use old technology to win that shit. You have to compete. You have to bring out, you have to really put a lot of money in research and development. So Toyota is hiding behind the donkey's back to claim the titleship of reliability, while other companies are busy doing the research and development. Then when Toyota say that it is working, yeah, is it reliable? Yes, go ahead and investigate it. Is it reliable? Okay, check the VVTi. Is it reliable? Okay, equip it. What about the EGR valve? Okay, bring that shit. You guys have been using it a lot. That is what Toyota does. That is what makes their car reliable. So they wait others to test it and proven before equipping it into their car. I said that. Don't quote me anyway. So now, one of the things I want to let you guys know before I close up this very chapter here is, if you start going into Volkswagen Audi models, you will discover the TSI 1.0 liters, 1.2 liters, 1.4 liters. You see the 2.0, 2.2 liters TSI. And these engines are not funny. If you take a look at those engines we're talking about here, one of their latest engine on Volkswagen Golf, I think that should be Golf 8, the timing, you got to use a computer to set that shit. Do you know what it means? Mechanics are going to be cracking their head to figure out how to time an engine. It is that complexity. So people who have that mindset of racing forward to find the latest cutting edge technology to propel their car to be fun to drive will not really have that much time to be thinking about the so-called reliability. But however, whatever they've equipped into their system can be way more better than what you call reliable. A lot of you guys who are claiming the titleship, who are backing Toyota on the terms of reliability, you are missing the part, the fun part. What is the fun part? Have you ever witnessed how many times Toyota's car owners change their shocks and struts, ball joint, inner cup, drive shaft? When Toyotas are changing 5, VW haven't changed 1, Hondas haven't changed 1, Mercedes haven't changed any. And let me say, the reliability of Toyota is on the engine and electronic side. But it's not about those parts which I just talked about, the drivetrain, the stability parts. Because when it comes to stability, use Toyota in a very rugged environment that has no smooth road, then you start knowing what I'm talking about. You're going to see how those parts fall apart quickly, because I stay in an environment where they have no road, stones everywhere. So only the strongest survive. And guess what? That is where you see where Toyota owners change shocks and struts, some like, you can, but not even the brand new car can pass those tests. Now, one last thing. Try doing 80 miles per hour or 100 miles per hour with your Toyota and hit a bump. You're going to change the stroke which you used to hit that very bump. I'm not trying to discourage you from buying Toyota. It's a good car, right? But it's a car for errand to go from point A to point B. Now, the rest of them, so should you decide to choose at your own discretion, fun-ful car and reliable car. And that's going to categorize whether you are Gen Z or you are the old fashioned. Thank you. I want to see your comments in the comment section. If you disagree with whatever I said, I've said a lot of things here, but thank you. I'm going to see you some other time. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.